Yeah. Are you guys ready for this? Say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so this one, someone linked me this one just recently. Apparently, there was a policy forbidding the use of AI code generators. Docs, define policy for forbidding use of AI code generators. There has been an explosion of interest in so-called AI code generators. First off, I do have to laugh a little bit with this idea of calling them so-called code generators, okay? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. So-called code generators. These are extremely popular. Thus far, this has not been matched by a broadly accepted legal interpretation of license implication for code generator outputs. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is actually where they're going with this one. I was actually not very sure how they're going to be addressing this issue, because why wouldn't a large open source library such as this, if you don't know, I went and checked the stats on this morning. It's like this is a big place, right? Over 10,000 stars. A lot of people watching it, 122,000 commits. So this is like a big library. What is their license, just so we understand their licensing? There it is. It's the GNU Public License version 2, GPL v2. I can't remember what is the GPL v2, like what makes... In my head, there's like something weird about the GPL v2, but I can't remember what it was or if there is anything naughty about it. It's huge. A lot of virtualization products are based on it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, QEMU is pretty... I'm calling it QEMU. You can tell... or QEMU. Q emulator. Oh, is it QEMU? Okay, that makes more sense. So-called code generators, or so-called code generators. QEMU. Yeah. GPL is copyleft. That's right. So that means... So just so I understand, its licensing means that... Because I think this will be very important for the discussion. Its licensing, just so I make sure I know copyleft as well. It means that when I make something,
I think it's pronounced D's nuts.
Oh, wow, thank you. It also has to, the people who are implementing it also have to adopt effectively, right? It's a spreading license. So if I adopt it, or if I use it in my product also has to be a GPL v2 as well. Yeah, viral licensing. Yeah, okay. While the vendors may claim that there is no problem and free choice of license is possible, they have an inherent conflict of interest in promoting this interpretation. More broadly, there is, as yet, no broad consensus on license application of code generators trained on inputs under a wide variety of license. I think this is actually a super good call out, especially if the reason why I think this is a really interesting point of view from them is that they have a license that is more viral. So this viral licensing, taking code from other licenses that may be like restricting other thing, like how does it influence their license and how does it allow for stuff? You can't just take code that was, can you? This is more of a theoretical thing. Can you take code that was trained on and generated effectively from that training, from a license that has a bunch of commercial forbiddingness, and then put it into a license that's viraling open sourceness? Like, I think that there actually is a really interesting question there. To be real, real devs have trained on various license code bases. Yeah, we don't consider, we don't usually consider this a problem because real humans can't simply remember everything and type things word for word. And the ones that have been taken to court, and there's been a lot of lawsuits around this exact thing. Like, working at a specific company, let's say I work at a company that streamed live video, I couldn't simply go and take and start my own live video service creating the same architecture. What would end up happening? I would end up getting sued because they'd be like, you are clearly taking from this video service into your video service. That's basically the same thing. As far as an LLM goes, it is a little bit different. People don't care about software licenses. People most certainly do care about software licenses. That's kind of a nuts thing to say. You should most certainly care about licenses because they do. They actually make a really big. They can make a very big impact into you. Licenses are not important until you are doing is public, or until what you are doing is public. Yes, license checking in our pipelines. Yeah,
I am above the law. I am Steven Seagal.
I am Steven Seagal. Yeah, true. People do care about this, and I think this is just a really good call out, which is we still don't have a good legal framework. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we don't have a good legal framework of everything that an AI is doing. And I don't think what AIs are doing is actually legal. I think there is most certainly some illegality to this idea of them being able to produce a bunch of code, and likely taken from both private and public repos. Right? I think there most certainly is a problem. Right. Also, a software license pays you a salary if you're a software dev. Truing. The DCO requires contributors to assert they have the right to contribute under the designated project license. Given a lack of consensus on the license of AI code-generated output, it is not considered credible to assert compliance with the DCO clause or where the patch includes some such generated code. Now, I wonder if they consider it. Are they consider this just like using an agent to generate code? Using ChatGPT or Copilot? Like, is something like Copilot or SuperMaven, is that also falling under the same clause as code generation? Or does that have a different one? This patch thus defines a policy that Quemu, I think people said it was Quemu, project will currently not accept contributions where use of AI code generators is either known or suspected. These are the early days of AI-assisted software development. The legal questions will be resolved eventually. The tools will mature, and we can expect some to become safely usable in free software projects. The policy we set now must be for today and be open to revision. It's best start strict, safe, and then relax. I do think that this is a really smart idea of them. I think this is really trying to hold true to you being an open source and a viral open source license, to be like, hey, we want to respect licenses and we also want people to respect our license. Therefore, we can't accept certain behavior because it is really going against what we believe or what we say. And it's also really level-headed of them to say that they don't, when things change, they're willing to change. This is not some sort of like anti-AI stance or pro-AI stance. This is really just like hey, we're confused about licenses and we have a viral license and we want people to respect licenses. I think that is a pretty dang good. I think that's really reasonable. Copilot. So that was actually my first question, was Copilot. So unfortunately, someone's using apparently a font I'm not allowed to see on my computer. Arch, by the way, you wouldn't understand. Let's see. I'm actually very curious about this. I want to know what does Copilot have to say. Let's see, examples of tools impacted by the policies. Oh, nice. Okay, no, it does. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I thought this was the exact. Sorry, I thought this was this right here. It's not. My bad. My fault. All right, let me look at this. The increasing prevalence of AI-assisted software results in a number of difficult legal questions and risks for software projects, including Quemu. A particular concern is content generated by large language models right here. Quemu community requires that contributors certify their patch submissions are made in accordance with the rules of the Developer's Certificate of Origins, DCO. To satisfy his DCO, a patch contributor has fully understand the copyright and license status of the content they are contributing to Quemu. With AI content generators, the copyright and license status of the output is ill-defined with no generally accepted settled legal foundation.
Hey, chat, NeoVim, Arch and X Netflix, by the way.
True. Where the training material is known, it is common for it to include large volumes of material under restrictive license copyright terms. Even where training material is all known to be under open source licenses, it is unlikely to be under a variety of terms, not all of which be compatible with Quemu's licensing requirements. So this is like a really, I absolutely love this statement, but I'm curious about this one right here. Let's see, policy does not apply to other uses of AI, such as researching APIs or algorithm static analysis or debugging, providing their output is not to be included in the contribution. Example of tools impacted by this policy include GitHub's Copilot. Okay, so that was my question, was that specifically Copilot. And now I realize that Copilot, I think this comment is saying that Copilot is not it doesn't have a capital P. Is that really what this is? All right, is that what it is? Prime hates Randall, I do. Yes. Is that what it is? Oh, okay. Stupid. ChatGPT's Anthropic Claude and Meta Claude Llama and code generators agents which are built on top of such tools. Okay. You'll never be able to tell, and this policy is meaningless. This is actually such a great counterexample, is that I could generate a bunch of code, do some basic fixing to it. At which point does it cross the line from nebulously generated code into personally created code? Right? When does this line happen? I don't know. Are you going to call the internet police if I submit something I generated with an LLM? How will you prove it? It's the same policy as saying I can't copy and paste stuff from Stack Overflow and editing it a little bit. You may well ban me from this project right now because I will be using LLM if I contribute. I've used LLMs to update legacy MongoDB versions without AVX to use the latest version of Boost in projects that have banned AI. Have looked at and accepted the changes as correct and compatible. This is also rich coming from Quemu project. Try and use any guide from any of the distros to set up most of the basic networking, disk, memory, device settings, and you'll get told 300 different switches and methods, maybe of which 25% of them still work. It's easier to use an LLM and have it spit out the switches for you at this point than it is to even read the guides provided by Red Hat themselves, where they push wrappers on you because they don't even know how it works anymore. Dang, people not happy about this response. Some people think it's funny. We got one. We got, dude. I'm actually surprised by the. Well, I guess the thing that I'm not surprised about it being voted so negative is that the stance is so hard, right? You can't. You either ban me because I won't stop, right? There's no concession here. But I do think he's 100. I do think GJS is 100% correct. Like, how can you really tell? Like, other than really obvious tells, like, how can you tell? Like, if you remove the comments and you make sure to, like, reuse some functions, like, how can people tell? Next comment. Okay. Let's see. I'll be using an LLM if I contribute. 2011, 6 contributions. Between 2012 and 25, 4 contributions. Looking forward to your input. I mean, it is really funny. It is really, really funny. But I will say the inverse, which is that open source thrives, like open source thrives even off of little contribution. And so obviously this guy seems like a bad actor, but nonetheless, open source loves that, right? That's a sign of a healthy open source is that you do have a bunch of little contributions and not one person moving mountains, right? I actually think that it's unhealthy if you look at an open source project and it's largely just one person. And what I mean by unhealthy is if it's like a small project, then I don't think it matters. But if it's a super large project, then I think it does really matter that there's just one person versus a bunch. But they define things that are banning. Yes, they did. 100 people doing 4 contributions is 400 commits over the same time span. Yeah, exactly. I think it's really good. They just don't like his point. I think his point, though correct, right, which is that you're never going to be able to tell. And if you do try to tell, you're going to be kind of barking up the wrong tree because he's going to use it no matter what. And that reading through these guides totally suck. And Red Hat sucks. I love the Red Hat jab. The Red Hat jab is really funny. There's so many switches that Red Hat themselves doesn't even know what to do anymore. All right, looking forward to yours too. I think there's a dead JavaScript framework or a Python library that needs someone to write a Docker file for it. Make sure you write it all by hand. Maybe you can make yet another wrapper around basic Unix commands for the Mac users too. Dang, people flaming each other. Oh my gosh. GitHub as a Reddit forum is just insane. Okay, this is insane. I can't believe this is actually happening. This is a real thing. Is this Twitter? Dude, we are all out warfare here. This is Reddit. Very ironic to belittle someone's ability while you self-admittedly use AI in your work. Was this written by AI? That's hilarious. That's a good one. It's true that there's no way to tell if a particular piece of code was written by using AI or not. So the policy is effectively DOA, dead on arrival. Of course, there are people who will make it obvious, but there are ones where you won't be able to tell it all. It would be reasonable to see a policy like this 2.5 years ago. Today, not only is it way late to the party, the so-called licensing implications have long been resolved, and there are no legal problems using AI to generate your code. I wonder why people downvoted this. What's all... I realize that downvoting, it feels like such a weird way to interact with this. I've never really felt like downvoting being strange, but I realize that like this is slowly, it's like creating gladiators, right? So we have the anti-AI gladiators and we have the pro-AI gladiators. And so pro-AI gladiator comes in, makes his stance, says, "Are you not entertained?" No one's entertained. Person who claps back at gladiator, everyone gives him thumbs up. The person that goes backwards goes back down, goes back up because he laughs at it because it's AI. Says something negative about it, thumbs down, right? This is actually pretty funny. This is funny how like there's this, like we have the two sides. I consciously abandoned GitHub when it went mainstream. I feel vindicated by my choice. Yeah, what a roller coaster. This is, dude, classic Reddit. I love Reddit. All right, let's do a couple more and see where this goes. I find it slightly odd to update the policy that was discussed on the development list over the last few months should suddenly gain a bunch of comments from people uninvolved in the project when the GitHub mirror updated. To clarify, the policy is entirely self-policed through the DCO process. Adding your signed off by to a commit indicates that you believe to the best of your knowledge the code you're submitting meets in the acceptance criteria of the project, including its provenance and license terms. So far, I don't think the project has ever had to revert a patch due to fraudulent DCO, although it eventually does have to. I suspect it would just mean the project would stop accepting contributions from anyone known to submit work in bad faith. Oh. So this decision was made a while ago, and this is just hitting the GitHub mirror now. And so now that it hits the GitHub mirror, all the people who don't actually participate. Oh my gosh, this is so classic. This is like the most classic thing ever. People who are uninvolved, who don't really have a lot of skin in the game, who missed the entire discussion to begin with, all of a sudden erect their trees and hang themselves on it to show their, like, they rent their clothes and pour ash on their head to show how upset they are about decisions in which they participate at, none at all. Yeah, armchair warriors. But they have very strong opinions. So strong that they do not wish to actually participate in the real discussion, but to do it later on. Wine time. Dude, that's nuts. But that also just exposes some interesting things right here. Hold on. Legal structure of copyright does not fit the digital world. Yeah, we need to... Yes, I do agree that,
Hey, I'm not involved.
This is different.
But I heard we're angry. So stop fighting until I get there.
True. All right, let's read a couple more. I want to read a couple more. Let's see. It's because it's on the front page of Hacker News. Yes, it is. It's a great way to tell that. Hacker News people coming in and weighing their opinion. How much do you want to bet? There's comments on here that they've literally never heard of the project, but they're defending AI or defending its exclusion somewhere in here. They've like literally never been on it, and they're just like loving it. I remember communists fighting against the introduction of computers in my state in the late 90s. Damn, this guy's coming from a crazy world. And now our government systems are outdated by an entire decade, and so did the development of the state. The use of AI is inevitable. This guy does not have any stake in this repository. I just want you to know this now. This is exactly what you get for Hacker News. This is the average Redditor has now landed into the comment system. You could also argue the same against using Google to find answers. Why not go to the library and find a book related to whatever problem you have? Why give your data away to the biggest corporations on the planet? Because it's easy. Because you want to save time. Isn't that what AI is also doing? I actually don't even understand this argument. We're now into privacy? Did we just cross the line from licensing into privacy? Imagine Curl Bro read this every day. Dude, I know, poor Curl Bro. Dude, Curl Bro, I want everyone to take a moment and pour one out for poor Daniel. He gets submitted hundreds of AI-generated reports, and he just keeps asking everybody, please stop. Please stop generating fake reports for me, okay? Your security bugs have wasted countless hours, including on raising like 9.9 CVEs on Christmas, for me to have to like quit Christmas just to be able to come and look at these like world destroying security reports for them not even to be real. So, bro, this is the same as copying and pasting from Stack Overflow. Maybe. I don't know if it's the same. But yes, I can't tell if it's the same. I know people make that argument, but I think all shallows are clear. I think it's really easy to see that argument is just true on its face, but I'm not sure if it's actually real. There's no way to tell if AI-generated code has a license issues. Yeah, true. Until a lawsuit happens. I know this is kind of what I'm actually super curious about. My guess. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a forward-looking statement. Typically, we don't make forward-looking statements, but I'm gonna make a forward-looking statement in the sense that I do really think that we are going to see absolutely no legal consequences from AI. And the reason why we will see no legal consequences from AI is so many companies now have generated code within it. Like virtually every single corporation on planet Earth has some level of AI-generated code in it, excluding like some really heavily restricted financing, medical, banking-related software, and some level of government. Like every single normal ones is just completely filled to the top. And so there's just no way that they're going to be like, hey, corporations, everybody getting sued, right? Like it's literally it would be thousands upon thousands of corporations, if not tens of thousands of corporations getting destroyed. So I just somehow doubt that lawsuit would happen. I'm sure we'll see the consequence of AI, just not for big corporations. Well, if there was a lawsuit, then yeah, it would also land on big corporations. I just think the outcome will simply be, no, everything is fine. That's that. No more. Right? Like, I just think that's what it'd be. I literally think that's the ending, because it's too big. It's too wide use at this point. Right? I don't see how we can have a meaningful lawsuit go against it. I think it's just too late. Can you explain why using AI code is an issue? So for this particular repo, which I think they make a good point, For them, they have what is called they have a viral licensing, and AI code generators are trained off of questionably licensed code. Here's a good example. How much of the history of code do you think these AI generators are trained on? Do you think they go back through commits and see change sets and attempt to try to understand that? Well, there's been various license changes throughout code that have existed and how it's being trained on. So a good example of this is React. For a long time, React actually had a pretty weird license, effectively allowing Facebook to pursue some sort of legal action or some sort of consequence for using React if you're a corporation and they deem it fit. And so there was a big change to Facebook's React license a long time ago. They had some sort of like assertion of ownership. I can't remember what it was, but I remember us actually not being able to use React for some amount of time because of the licensing, right? That's so Facebook, yeah. And so then React changed its licensing, and then we were able to use React. Hey, see y'all. Hey, Be Kind to Prime. We're trying out here. And so like there's this like whole problem. So if some of that code or some of the knowledge is trained off that, what percentage do you attribute to that license, right? Like I don't know. I think that's kind of like the problem. Anyways, it's fun. It's fun to think about. It's more just fun to think about than it is than anything else, right? I'm not even really trying to make a judgment on this, other than I think it's like smart that they're considering it. I think it's just I think we're still living in a nebulous thing, but ultimately, I just don't think anything is going to happen of this. I think the law is going to say, you know what? All AI generated code can break licenses, and all previously trained stuff is okay, but anything moving forward has to align to some sort of like AI adherence document, right? We're going to have some sort of AI adherence document, but that's not going to be some sort of into the past. It'll be only into the future type stuff, at least in America. Now, Europe might have a different set, right? The GDPR of AI may actually try to back prop into AI, but I think if they do that, I think like the European Union probably understands at least enough that if they do some sort of like move against AI like that, effectively OpenAI will just turn off AI in Europe, and then Europe will feel like they're falling behind. So I think they're going to be like intellectually pressured into doing this no matter what, right? Which is irrelevant because I got all the data they need. Exactly, Nightshade Dude. That's why I think this is like a no consequence action. I think if all AI needs to meet, all new data needs to meet some sort of criteria thing, it's just like, okay, cool. Good, I don't want OpenAI anywhere near me. Yeah. EU can just create its own AI. I know people say that, but it's actually it's a long process to create your own AI, right? You can't just create your own AI, right? They're even like it's like, imagine building a house. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't build a house in a day, right? You can't, like, you could be Jeff Bezos and have billions of dollars and be like, I want my house today. And they'd be like, sorry, like, it's literally not possible. EU created GDPR, do not attempt to use. I think there's a lot of good things with GDPR, right? Like, I do like their personal identifiable information. I like the right to be forgot, right? Like, I think there's actually there's a lot of great ideas in GDPR. I'm not like an anti-GDPR person. I'm not an anti-regulation person, right? Minstrel is an AI French company. Well, good. Okay. Well, but Minstrel likely has broken all the rules, and they would have to start over, right? You mean 2 guys can reduce the time of pregnancy? Yes, 2 dudes can do. Pick is absolutely right. Double the sperm units actually doubles the speed of baby creation. It's actually this is how life works. Okay, I don't know if you know that. And Pick has been banned. He's out. Get him out. Get him out. 2 dudes, why not 10, dude? 2 women and 2 men, dude. That's like 4 babies or some shit. I can't do that kind of math. I'm pretty sure it's exponential or it's squared, right? That's definitely a squared relationship right there. All right. Anyways, I thought this was super interesting. I'm actually glad I read this. I'm interested. Well, the thing I think I'm most surprised about this is just like how stupid people are being with the comments, right? Like this literally is like, if I could imagine, like what's the right term for this? What's the right term? You know how people have like caricatures of various people on the internet? It's as if, let's just say the Reddit caricature. If the Reddit caricature created an anti-Reddit caricature, and then the anti-Reddit caricature made a caricature again of Reddit, this is what it would be. Like, right? It's like that It's like that super loop that's going on right there. That it's somebody who thinks somebody else what they think of them. It's just like it's literally the feedback loop of shit. Exactly. It's like, man, dude, this one guy, I hate him. This is what he thinks of me. It's like, that's what this person is. This person is the distillation of the just internet stupidity. Yeah, I grew up in the 90s with communists. They hated computers. Now we're out of date because they adopted computers. Now AI's here to be our savior. Shut up.